So, Alex, to start out, why
Yes.
don't you tell the viewers who you are and what you do?
Cool. Hello, my name is Lucastark. I do YouTube videos on the internet. I kind of do a lot of very different things, from vlogs. I do a little bit of gaming. I do a little bit of dancey stuff. There's some stuff on my channel. I'm trying to do some more. And then I also do stuff for Zelda Universe as well.
Alright. And if people wanted to find your YouTube channel, how could they find you? What's your link?
You can go to youtube.com/Lucastarks. That's Luca Stark with an S because someone parked Lucas Stark before I got it.
Yeah. And
Rude.
and today you're going to be discussing E3 predictions with me.
Yeah, I have been following a lot of E3 stuff. I'm actually going this year with Zelda Universe. I'm really excited. And I've been paying attention to a lot of what people have been announcing that, oh, this is happening and this is happening. And so I wanted to do my spin on all of that because I actually have my own predictions.
What's a big third-party conference that you're looking forward to seeing?
Square Enix. Because god dang it, I want them to freaking announce a release date for Kingdom Hearts 3.
I think
That's all I want, Square.
yeah, everybody wants that. They've been showing off Final Fantasy Versus 13 or now 15 for the past 10 years, it seems like. But as much as they've been showing that off, I think more people are interested in Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, because at this point, it's been, what, 10 years? When did Kingdom Hearts 2 come out? Oh, 4?
Yeah,
Hold up.
I think
Yeah.
so because it had to
It's
be
been like 10 or so years.
it had to be before the PlayStation 3 came out. So around 2004
Yeah.
would be right.
Yeah, oh 04. So, my first thought is there's just like it's been 10 years. You've been putting out all of this like remake stuff. You put out Kingdom Hearts 1.5, you put out 2.5. I mean, the logical step at this point is 3. We're waiting for it. They know that we're waiting for it.
Right.
The only thing I'm interested in is apparently they switched engines. They switched to Unreal. So I'm wondering what they're going to show in terms of gameplay, if they show anything at all at E3.
Yeah, that makes me a little confused because not at last year's E3, but I think the year before that they showed off the tech demo for I think it was some sort of Final Fantasy tech demo with a new engine. It was supposed to be a new next gen engine showing off real graphics and all sorts of lighting. It had like it zoomed in on a city and then there was people fighting in a room, there was magic and guns, and then it kind of zoomed out of the city, and it's just huge city, miles and miles long, with detail, heavy detail in each and every building, and then there's dragons and stuff flying over the horizon. Do you remember that tech demo being revealed?
I do, and I loved it.
Alright.
I mean, I feel like the reason why they went with the Unreal, I think part of that comes with the just accessibility of it. I think it's easier on a lot of the systems.
Right.
Because Unreal Engine, right, as I'm looking online, it's good for like everything. It works on every console, it works on Macs, it works on PCs, it works on Linux, Android, Oculus. Like, I feel like Unreal has a lot more potential for stuff, and I don't know if it's even completely fully developed yet. So I think they're still working on stuff. So I think it could go very well. I think it could go very well and see where this like ends up going with in terms of design, because I think they're like working on it together or something like that.
Yeah. And do you think with Disney's recent requirement of the Marvel comics and stuff, and then them releasing it in Disney Infinity, do you think that'll make some sort of appearance? Do you think we could be seeing Spider-Man or somebody show up in Kingdom Hearts, as odd as that may sound?
Part of me thinks that it's probably going to happen, but I do not want that to happen.
Yeah.
Mainly because they're already in Disney Infinity. They already have their own line of stuff. I feel like they have enough on them at this point. Same with Star Wars. I don't think it would make any sense for, Marvel and Star Wars to be part of it. Star Wars makes a little more sense than Marvel because Marvel's supposed to be, like reality.
Yeah.
Kingdom Hearts is anything but reality.
I could definitely see a key sword fighting against a lightsaber. That makes more sense than Iron Man trying to fight somebody.
Yeah, and even then, I'm not entirely sure how excited I am for Star Wars even being implemented in it. I think there are a lot of other Disney IP that can get some time in the sun. Like, obviously they're going to throw in Frozen because duh.
See,
that's the most popular music.
Yeah, I was about to ask you what some of the more recent Disney films that have came out that you would like to see with Kingdom Hearts 3.
Yeah, I mean, Frozen is the top grossing animated film in history. So to not include that in Kingdom Hearts would be dumb.
Yeah.
I feel like Wreck-It Ralph could probably work well in a Kingdom Hearts game. I don't know for sure though. I would love to see some of the more classic game or movies to become worlds. I would love to see a Robin Hood world, because that would just be fun.
Yeah.
And I have this idea that I've had for a while where you would go to Devil's Bayou from the Rescuers movie from the 70s, and you'd have the two leads as your characters, put them with awesome stats or whatnot. And then the final battle, when you're going against Medusa, who's the human, you do it like Shadow of the Colossus, provided you actually rip off the gameplay correctly and not do it like Konami. It's there's so much potential for something really good, or doing something that's no one even remembers, like Black Cauldron, because no one remembers that movie.
I remember watching that. I think it was at least 10 or 15 years ago that I watched it.
Yeah, I call it the hipster Disney movie because no one remembers it, and it's great. But there's so much potential. I feel I love some of the worlds from the original game, except Atlantica, because Kingdom Hearts 2 made me want to kill anyone who started singing "Swim This Way." But I also love the Pride Lands area because seeing Sora as a lion was awesome.
Right.
And I just think it would be super cool just to have some of the older lands or older films. What other old ones are there? Sleeping Beauty's already a thing. Snow White is not a world at the moment. There isn't one for The Princess and the Frog. That would be cool.
Yeah.
Tangled. I don't. Part of me is do they do Pixar IP as well?
I
wonder if that's a thing.
Think they have.
Because in that situation, they could do.
I think a Monsters Inc. world.
Story. Monsters Inc. or Toy Story would be my first two. They could do something completely different. They have done Tron, which was a complete curveball.
I think if they kept the core game to Disney IPs, then it would open up the opportunity to keep all of the fans happy while they could release a Pixar bundle DLC.
Yeah, I feel like it would just be weird to figure out how you would make a DLC storyline go with Kingdom Hearts with that one. Because they're all supposed to be interlaced between worlds, so it's a plot point. So it'd have to make a separate plot line, but it could work.
Yeah.
I would love just, because I know they're trying different things. I know with Dream Drop Distance, which I actually never finished, admittedly, they added stuff from The World Ends With You, which I have not played, so I have no idea who most of those characters are anyway. And, I heard it was an okay implementation.
Yeah.
I don't know who else will add from Final Fantasy, because, Lightning is probably the most common, but Lightning Returns was not great. It was unnecessary. So, who knows? Honestly, I just want to hear it coming out, because that's when I'm going to buy a PS4.
Yeah. What comes to mind for me, going back to Square Enix in general, is they said they were going to be announcing 2 previously unannounced games, or they called it 2 secret games. at E3. What games do you think
I
they
want to know
are?
what that is.
They've been sort of teasing lately for a Final Fantasy VII remake, and I think that may be a possibility because
You mean the one that everyone's wanted, including myself? Hell yes.
yeah,
I love that.
yeah, with the recent remake of Final Fantasy X, which is another Final Fantasy game that fans claim to be one of the best, and 7 is up there with it, if not above it, to even more fans. And with them remaking 10 and 10-2, I think it's not that big of an assumption to go ahead and say Final Fantasy VII is going to be getting a remake, since at the PlayStation Experience, they kind of teased Final Fantasy VII coming to PS4, but then when it finally was shown off, it was just a port. So...
Yeah. Excuse me while my fax machine is being annoying.
Right.
Okay, Alright, I'm gonna be very honest real quick. I did not finish Final Fantasy X.
Yeah.
I could not get past Titus. Titus annoyed the hell out of me, and I just couldn't take it, so I never finished it. But, you know, they've been releasing a lot of HD remakes of a lot of games. It would make sense at this point that Final Fantasy VII would get an HD remake.
Right.
We've been wanting it for, you know, like 4 or 5, 6 years now. It's got it's one of the most iconic RPGs that they've made. It's one of their title ones. So, you know, they should just, like, it would make the most sense to do it because they would make a lot of money off of it.
And you mentioned you weren't a big fan of Final Fantasy 13, Lightning's Return. I think Square Enix kind of went downhill after the release of Final Fantasy 13 because the sequel was even worse, and then the sequel to that was even worse.
Well, so I mean, I think Final Fantasy 13 was linear but fine.
Yeah.
I thought 2 was not as good, but it was okay. Yeah. Lightning Returns was unnecessary.
Yeah. And I think that's sort of why they changed the name to Final Fantasy 15 as opposed to Versus 13. Even though it looks basically like the same game, it still has the same characters. I think they just want to avoid the whole Final Fantasy 13 fiasco. So they're already naming it 15, and then maybe alongside it, they could release Final Fantasy 7 HD like a few months later or a few months before.
Yeah, I mean, I think it would be a smart move.
Yeah.
I mean, I don't know. Square Enix's movements have been very odd recently. I mean, I'm interested in seeing what else they're going to do, because I feel like they're going to talk about the new Tomb Raider. Which will be cool, because I enjoy the new Tomb Raider. While I haven't finished it, I have enjoyed what I've played.
I really liked... I played it a little bit on PC, but then when they released the PS4 Xbox One version, I played it on PlayStation 4, and I absolutely loved it on PlayStation 4, because it has those Zelda-type moments where you're not in a dungeon necessarily. In this, it's tombs or caves, but it has some Zelda elements, like at the very beginning of the game when you're trying to make the crate drop the boxes into the ground so you can catch it on fire. That's like a typical Zelda-style puzzle when you're having to push blocks around and stuff. And
I like that kind of stuff. It's very reminiscent of not just Zelda, but a little bit of Metroidvania, because there is backtracking that you have to do. And I appreciate that stuff, because those are stuff I grew up with.